Let's talk about how to let go of a man who dumped you, ghosted you, or just plain did you dirty. Story time. When I was in my 20s, I dated a guy for a month and a half. Let's call him Chad, and he was absolutely perfect. Chad was good looking, he was a gentleman, had a pretty powerful job in media, and most of all, he seemed to really like me. Like really like me, because after our first date, Chad spent approximately all day, every day texting me, to the point where I was unsure whether his pretty powerful job in media even existed. Because how do you get anything done when you're texting some 20-something girl you met off of a dating app every 10 minutes? Of course, my bad biddies, I ate it up, because it felt good to be wanted, and it felt even better to be wanted by somebody I wanted. And so I texted him back every 10 minutes too. And I was convinced that even though I had known Chad for basically no time at all, that I was going to marry him and we were going to live happily ever after. But here's the thing, Chad didn't love me, he love bombed me, and I'm so freaking old that when all this happened, the term love bomb didn't even really exist. So imagine my confusion when Chad texted me all day, every day from January 1st to February 14th, and on that fateful 14th day of February, I realized that despite the fact that I was convinced that Chad and I were going to live happily ever after, I did not receive a single text from him on February 14th. And so I did what any other bad biddy would do. I called that homeboy out and I said, Chad, what's going on? You text me all day, every day until Valentine's Day, and I'm not supposed to know what that means? And I can't quite remember exactly what Chad said to me that night because it was so freaking long ago, but the subtext of it was, I'm sorry, Anna, I really like you, but I just didn't want to text you on Valentine's Day because I'm not ready for a commitment and I didn't want you to think you were my girlfriend. But if you're willing to be my non-girlfriend so I can have my cake and eat it too, I can continue to text you all day, every day. And despite the fact that I once thought I was going to marry Chad and we were going to live happily ever after, I also knew I didn't want to be somebody's non-girlfriend. That what Chad was essentially saying was that I was good enough to keep around as an option, but not as the only option. And so I left and it crushed me and I went straight into therapy because not only did I feel like my heart had shattered into a million little pieces, I also felt guilty for feeling like my heart had shattered into a million little pieces. Because after all, Chad and I only dated for a month and a half, and that's not a very long time, and I'm a bad biddy and I shouldn't have gotten attached so quickly, right? Wrong. Chad love bombed me and used me as a stepping stone to prop up his own ego so that he could remind himself that he was lovable, that he was desirable, that he was wanted. And nowhere in that string of statements was the sentence that Chad loved and cared about me as a human. And it took me a long time in therapy to realize that I needed to stop feeling guilty for feeling like my heart had shattered into a million little pieces. Because feeling guilty that maybe you did something to deserve a man screwing you over is you owning that man's fecal matter. And I don't know about you, but I've got enough of my own ish to deal with, so I don't need anybody else's. So how do you let go of a man who dumped you, ghosted you, or just plain did you dirty? You stop blaming yourself, girlfriend, and you start blaming him. Because you wouldn't blame a woman for getting kidnapped because she decided to trust that she wouldn't get kidnapped when she went for a run, would you? No, you blame that mofo who decided to kidnap a woman because that was the only way he could feel like a man. Honey, the day you realize that you are not what happens to you and that you are what you decide to do next is the day you let go. And I don't know about you, but I'm more excited about what you're going to do next than what some guy did to you.